Médaillé de bronze, représentant de Kenya.
Bronze medalist representing Kenya, Vivian Cheptemoy Cheruya.
This documentary is going to look at three things. Number one, the success of Team GB. Number two, how Londoners responded to the London 2012 Olympics. And number three, the legacy it's going to leave behind, and answer the ultimate question. How successful was London 2012? Team GB had a very successful Olympic Games, achieving an astonishing 65 medals altogether. 29 gold, 17 silver and 19 bronze. It is the opinion of many that it was the success of the team that helped to make London 2012 so successful, especially within Great Britain. A winning team that a whole nation supports brings it together as a whole community, something that I have never experienced before. Even though the Queen's Jubilee and the recent royal wedding have brought the nation together for a few days, the Olympic lasted a substantial amount of time, and throughout this time Team GB continued to win medals, meaning the interest in the game continued to grow, increasing the success of London 2012. In football terms, a team's supporters and fans can be known as the 12th man. This means that the crowd who are cheering on the players act as an extra force to aid the team in winning. Applying this concept to the Olympics, having a nation behind the athletes arguably acted as the 12th man, but on a much larger scale. So as the medals started to be won, the crowd following Team GB started to grow, meaning more support for the team, meaning more medals won. This circle of events really helped in the overall success of the Olympics. The viewing figures increased, making it a successful Olympics for the BBC, the official TV broadcaster. Demands for tickets increased, allowing the Paralympics to sell out, meaning there was a lot more money in the economy and a lot more support than previously expected for the Paralympians. The demand for the team merchandise and general Olympic merchandise meant that stocks had to be replaced constantly, allowing again more money to be made. It also meant people walking around London looked like this. You can decide if this is a good thing or not. Local businesses and shops in Stratford Westfield and the other surrounding areas saw a rise in profit, and more people visited the Olympic Park. This list is everlasting, meaning that the successes of Team GB can be considered one of the most important factors to making London 2012 a success. But what made Team GB so successful? After what the media called a slow start for Team GB, with the men's road race team not continuing their success after the summer's Tour de France and meeting the nation's expectation, there was an initial air of disappointment, and people's sceptical views which had been aired were starting to come true. It was Lizzie Armistead, however, taking silver in the women's road race who set Team GB off on their winning streak, and from then onwards Team GB were on a roll. In the survey I conducted, there were many Team GB highlights, including Tom Daley, Jess Ennis, and the British cycling team success. However, there was one man who stole the show for Great Britain, and the results of my survey. This next clip was filmed when Mo Farah crossed the line in the Olympic Park on Super Saturday, a moment that will live on in the history of athletics all over the world, and one that will stay in my mind forever. the slow start, Team GB had an incredibly successful Olympics. Many put their success down to the team's funding from the National Lottery, which helps the athletes in training in the run-up to the Games. Overall, Team GB as a team are a success, and their success influenced the nation's view on the Olympics, meaning that most elements of the team contributed in making London 2012 so successful. When London won the bid to host the Olympics in 2012, the nation was divided. Half the nation was ready for the challenge, and the excitement and the anticipation of the summer's events kicked in immediately. However, there was the other half of the nation, the sceptics who thought the Olympics was never going to work. It didn't matter how many times Lord Coe, David Cameron or even David Beckham told us it was going to be successful, they would not accept that the Olympics would work. I will confess I started off in this group. However, my research shows that many people's opinions changed throughout the Olympics, and by the end, everyone was very interested and involved in the Games. My survey shows that out of the 86 people asked, 97% enjoyed the Olympics, and 75% of those people were Londoners. When asking people's opinions on the Olympics before it started, many people from London replied with answers along the same lines. However, when asked if people's opinions changed, most people who were sceptical about the Olympics before said yes, it had changed. Here are some clips of some interviews I conducted. They sum up the general opinions of the people living in London from the research I collected and helps to prove that the London 2012 Olympics were successful. Did you enjoy London 2012?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it brought a lot of happiness to London.
Yes. So did I.
It was alright. I watched some of the events. They were quite interesting. The weightlifting.
Six out of 10.
Yes, I did. I did, but I was kind of abroad because I was in Sri Lanka when I watched it, and I got to experience it through in a kind of different way, I guess, because all the people who watched it, they were foreigners, and they were so amazed by they're doing amazing. Whilst I was kind of like, well, it's all right, sort of thing. But I did enjoy it. It was better. It exceeded my expectations because my expectations were quite low.
As a Londoner, did it affect your experience?
It didn't affect me personally because I live in West London, so there wasn't a lot of buzz around where I lived, but my sister was doing an internship in Wapping at the time, and my other sister's boyfriend lives in East London, so they were back and forth, and they said they noticed a real difference on the tubes and just the general atmosphere.
Not really, to be honest. The tubes weren't that busy. It was quite easy to get around.
What was your opinion on the Olympics before it happened?
I was quite sceptical. I thought that it was going to leave a massive mess behind and it wasn't going to be fun. But actually, after you watched it, and especially after the opening ceremony, I was really positive about it.
I wasn't very interested in them. I mean, I don't really watch sports or anything like that, so I wasn't really it wasn't really going to affect my life very much.
I thought there was a lot of hype about it, and I was quite concerned about whether London could deal with it.
Did your opinions change when the game started?
Yes, I watched it every day.
Yeah.
I never watched sport.
So I literally spent my holidays in front of the TV.
Watching the Olympics.
I thought it was going to be a waste of money.
I thought it was going to be really hard for the UK to kind of top what Beijing did, because they had such a amazing kind of rich culture. Whilst we do have a distinctive culture, it's much more. I just didn't think it would be as amazing as the first.
I had quite mixed feelings. At one point I thought it might be really busy, couldn't get anywhere in London, and on the other hand I was quite proud of London for having the Olympics. It's quite a big deal to have that.
All in all, I believe that how the people of London responded to the Olympic Games is one of the main reasons contributing to the success. As mentioned previously, the support of the nation helped the team greatly, but it also helped in the overall success. Every event sold out in the Games, and the demand for the tickets increased, leading to the Paralympics selling out, which the event organisers were initially worried about. Also, London transport system held up well during the Games, which impressed many people living in London, meaning their attitude towards the Olympics changed because it wasn't classed as an inconvenience in everyday life, allowing the Olympics to be enjoyed by many. Finally, the 100,000 game maker volunteers played a massive part in the success of the Olympic Games and were predominantly made up from people living in London. Therefore, it was the many Londoners who gave up their time that helped make the running of the Games so successful. This meant that the overall experience of the Games was success for everyone watching and everyone involved, from the athletes to the coaches to the tourists lost on the Underground. Therefore, it can strongly be considered that Londoners' response to the Games was a main reason for making the London 2012 Olympics so successful. Here's the history of the Olympic site. The World War hit London hard, with the Blitz taking out 380,000 tonnes of timber in just one night. This left the area completely derelict, and something needed to be done about it. By the 1950s, the docks were thriving, supplying the UK with goods from around the world. However, the end came suddenly between 1960 and 1970, when the shipping industry adopted a newly invented container system of cargo transportation. London's docks were unable to accommodate much larger vessels, and the shipping industry moved to deep water ports such as Tilbury and Felixstowe. Between 1960 and 1980, all of London's docks were closed, leaving around 8 square miles of derelict land in East London. Unemployment was high, and poverty and other social problems were rife. Efforts to redevelop the docks began almost as soon as they were closed, although it took a decade for most plans to move beyond the drawing board and another decade for the redevelopment to take full effect. Michael Heseltine formed the London Docklands Development Corporation to redevelop the area. This was a statutory body appointed and funded by central government, with wide powers to acquire and dispose of the land in the Docklands. In 1982, the government made the Docklands an enterprise zone, an area in which businesses were exempt from property taxes and had other incentives including simplified planning and capital allowances. This made investing in the Docklands a significantly more attractive proposition and was instrumental in starting a property boom in the area. The London Docklands is now home to an iconic venue, the O2 Arena. Formerly named the Millennium Dome, the O2 Arena attracts millions of tourists a year to watch live shows and music and dine the night away. Holding an incredible 20,000 people, the O2 Arena was used in the Olympics to host the artistic gymnastics, trampolining, basketball and wheelchair basketball in the Paralympics. The O2 Arena was used for the London 2012 bid. In fact, the whole of East London, including the Docklands, was a main factor in London's successful Olympic bid, especially when it came to the legacy of the Olympics. The slogan of the Olympic Games was "Inspire a Generation," and the aim was to continue this inspiration after the Games had finished and for many years to come. I contacted the London Legacy Development Corporation, who have sent me the plans for the Olympic Park, which is being renamed the Queen Elizabeth Park. Here are some of the things they have told me. The Legacy Corporation have said the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park will become a thriving new metropolitan district of London and add an anchor for the social and economic regeneration of the East End. It will be a place unlike any other in the capital, offering the best in sporting and cultural amenities in the world-class venues and parks, and at the same time creating places to live that are rooted in the ethos and fabric of East London's diverse community. The long-term ambition of the Legacy Corporation is to create a family-focused environment that will see up to 7,000 new homes and up to 8,000 jobs on Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park over the next 20 years. This will be supplemented by world-class sporting venues, 2 new primary schools and 1 secondary school, 9 nurseries, 1 primary care centre and 2 walk-in centres, 3 Safer Neighbourhood teams, 1 ideas store and 7 community spaces to support these new neighbourhoods. There are many legacy assets outlined by the corporation. Firstly, the stadium can host athletics, football and other major sporting events and non-sporting events. It has a flexible design that enables to be reconfigured to have a capacity of up to 60,000 people. The warm-up track adjacent to the stadium will primarily serve as a centre for the community athletics at all levels. The Aquatic Centre is designed to be used for all aquatic disciplines to host major swimming events as well as community swimming. The flexible venue will accommodate 2 50-metre swimming pools and an international diving pool. The park will also be used as London's largest open space And the Landscape Parkland will be hosting a diverse programme of sporting, cultural and community events, as well as providing a stunning new environment in areas of informal activity, leisure and relaxation. On screen now is a montage of footage put together of all the books sent through by the Legacy Corporation with their ideas and plans for the future of the Olympic Park. Even though the legacy sounds good, we cannot yet conclude if it has helped make the Olympics successful, because it is something that will have to be judged over a longer period of time. However, for now we can assume that it definitely contributed to the success of the Olympic Games based on the evidence I have received from the Legacy Committee. To conclude, considering everything that I have researched and the people I have spoken to, I can confidently say that London 2012 can definitely be considered a success. Even though there were many sceptics, it is clear the foundations for a successful Olympic Games were laid even before London won the bid. From that moment on, a combination of things, including planning, organising, athletic training, advertising and many other things, helped to make the London Olympics so successful. However, I believe that it is the success of Team GB, how the people of London responded to the Games, and the legacy the Games is leaving behind that made the Games so successful. And this success will continue on into the future, and will live on forever as a major successful event in British history. As a nation, this is something we should be very proud to have been part of, and I encourage you to help the legacy live on by retelling your Olympic stories and keeping the Olympic Games alive for as long as we possibly can, because we should always celebrate success, and the success of the Games is certainly something that deserves to be celebrated.